Joomla ladies and Joomla gentlemen, Joomla boys and girls of all ages, gather around and see something new for Joomla. Hey there, Joomla fans. Tim Davis here. I'm a Joomla fan too. Thanks for tuning in to Watch Me Work live stream number 110 here on the Basic Joomla Tutorials YouTube channel. This video is brought to you by mysites.guru. Head on over to mysites.guru, get a free site audit for your Joomla site. While you're there, check out all the information and tools that will save you time and money managing one Joomla site or multiple Joomla sites. And if you decide to subscribe, use the coupon code BASICJoomla and you'll get your first month free. All right, everybody, we've got a bunch of things to catch up on. People are already saying hi in chat. If you're watching live, go ahead and do that. Hey, Bjorn and William and Chuck. All right, and there's a few housekeeping items that we'll need to take care of. We'll talk about along the way. Now, on Monday, in Maintenance Monday, I showed cleanmycache.com, a tool that you can send your clients or users to dump their browser cache if they're not seeing changes that you made on your on the website. Because maybe their browser cache is hanging on to things. And I tweeted about that, and let me just find it here on the screen. DGrammatico on Twitter. I think his name is Dimitri. I don't have it quite right here on tip of tongue. But anyways, he, in not so many words, said if you need to tell your users to dump their browser cache, you're doing it wrong. So I said, well, what's the proper way? Let me know and I'll make a video on it. So he's made a little module that invalidates a cache. And so how it works, and we'll see, is that if a user's browser cache has something cached and it goes to your site, if you've invalidated the cache on your site, change things around, the browser will load new files. So we're going to look at that and install that today and talk about it and catch up on some other things. So that's how it goes on Watch Me Work live stream. So let's turn our attention to the screen and we'll get right to that. There we are at the screen. Yes, and there's the tweet there from DGrammatico. Yeah, I'm sure it's Dimitri. Sorry, Dimitri, if I got that wrong. Okay, so here we are, basicjoomla.com. Let's go into the back end of the site. And what you're going to see here is the first thing I want to mention is Joomla 3.9.25 is out. There's something you might want to consider before you update it. And that is an issue with something. It looks, this update thinks that people are only going to use folders that begin with letters. Lowercase a to z or uppercase a to z, and not numbers. And so it could be an issue that if you have a folder, say in your image folder, you've created a folder and it starts with 1, or you have an extension that does that creates a folder, that could create problems. So I've been following that along, and so I've not updated any sites to Joomla 3.9.25 yet. So want to look more into that. All right, so I will paste this link right here in chat for now. Yes, and Chuck says there was an error with Akiba tools on this update as well, and FOF, but there's a huge long post from Nicholas at Akiba saying that it's not an error. They're having a social discussion about whether something is an error or not, or how something should be done. So, but yes. There is a big update. There is an update. I think the version, I don't know, it was 8 or something like that, of Akiba stuff. So update the Akiba stuff and you'll be fine. But yeah, like I said, there's some social discussion taking place amongst the programmers as to whether or not what that issue is or whatever. So, all right. So here we are. So cache invalidation the right way. A dead easy module for Joomla 3.4 that will immediately invalidate all the browser cache assets, CSS and JS. All right. So this will still not, if you were to change an image, upload an image with the same name and replace it, it could still get cached in your user's browser, in your visitor's browser. I did ask I did ask him if there was a way to apply that to images as well. I haven't heard back. All right, so yeah, Mary says, "Yikes! You look before you update. It didn't say anything on Joomla.org." I noticed it from following Phil Taylor on Twitter. That's where I noticed. That's where I got tuned into that issue. All right, so here's the problem. And by the way, this is something new that he has created. Hey, I really got to figure out if that's his name. I'm pretty sure that is. Anyway, so this is something he just created in response to the me asking for what the solution was. When developing and creating a new website, many intermediate versions of the static assets are created in order to achieve a given design. But when you need to share the staging work, people might have already a previous version of the file, so they'll never get to see the changes without cleaning their browser's cache. Well, that's something. Don't ever ask people to clear the cache. Never. If an image is stuck, you probably have to, I think. Anyways, okay, so the solution. Joomla already has a mechanism in place for invalidating the browser's cache. It's called media version. Media version in reality is just a randomly generated string that is assured to be unique. But if Joomla has already this functionality, why aren't we use that instead? Now we can because there's a simple module that exposes functionality. All right. So here we're going to go through the install process, and he has it laid out here very nicely. But we will do that and get it set up. All right. So here I'm going to download for Joomla 3. Now he did say it's not working in Joomla 4 because something's up with Ajax in Joomla 4. And he said it's not his software, it's not his coding, it's just something in Joomla 4 right now. So obviously, again, I think you get my drift that programmers have social discussions about these things. I'm just a dumb guy passing along the stuff that works, or the news this doesn't work. All right, so let's download. And I'm going to just create a new folder. Actually, I already have a folder here called Modinvalidate. And I've already downloaded it there, but I'm just going to save that. Now, I like to go through the steps and everything, especially on Watching Work live stream, because one, you never know, there might be someone very new to Joomla that is watching this, and I don't want them to miss any of the little steps that are involved. And by just taking our time getting there, it's an opportunity for people to learn things. And the second reason that I go through all these little steps on the live streams is because generally I'm usually unprepared for the live streams. So, all right, so we've downloaded that. Let's go to the basic Joomla site. So let's go to, I've got an extension I need to buy to get the latest version update, and like I said, about 3.925. Let's go to extensions, manage, and install. All right, now we're just going to go upload package file, and you see down here in Chrome I already have this the zip file showing there, so I could browse for where I save that and upload it, but I'm just going to drag it from the bottom and upload it. Now the first trick that gets thrown our way is this. We go to extensions and modules, because this is a module, and we sort by ID in the right hand column so that we have the highest number at the top. All right, remember this little arrow here? We did a video on that a while ago. This arrow always points to where the top is. So right now the top is at the bottom of this list. So it's in the bottom, but look, custom CSS, there is that module we just installed is not showing. And that's because this is a system module, not a site module. So up here in the top left, we're going to go to the drop down, and actually it's an administrator module. I apologize for using the wrong term there. An administrator module, which means it's going to show up on, it's a module for the back end of the site, the administrator area. Now we see invalidate cache, and it is off. So we're going to go here, and we're going to publish it, but because it's a module, we need to assign it somewhere, all right, to a position. And here's all the positions. I'm using ISIS. Here's all the positions that are available. Now, if you don't know where your positions are on this, on your module, let's just go close. You can look back here, close this at the bottom, Hello, Brian. You can look back here and look at where some of the things are. So for instance, let's see here. Down at the bottom, the very bottom screen, we have view site, clean cache. Over here, we have, behind me, I'll just show you. Behind me, we have the Joomla version. All right. So we kind of look down for something familiar here and look, oh, here's Joomla version right here. And it is assigned to the position footer. So if we take invalidate cache and assign it to footer, it's going to show up down the bottom right hand corner. It might just be a handy place for it. Now we might also want it to show up down where next to clean cache. And so here we see regular labs cache cleaner is assigned to status. And so is regular labs add to menu, and what else have we got in status? Oh, user status. So why don't we assign this to status down here? All right, let's turn my lovely face back on there. And by the way, I do the picture-in-picture because sometimes if I'm talking for a long time, I don't want people to think, well, what's happening? It gets kind of boring. So at least they can be horrified by my face. All right, so we are going to go to invalidate cache up here. We're going to go to status and add status position, and we're going to publish, and we're going to go save. Let's go save and close. Now, at the bottom, we have this button, invalidate cache. Now that's not exactly where I saw that it was going to go. So I wanted to have it up the right-hand side of clean cache. So here's what we'll do. We'll sort by order up here. Remember, this little arrow is pointing to what's at the top. So that's good. And let's filter by position. Status. Oh, interesting. Oh, you cannot sort by position in administrator modules. Isn't that interesting? Huh. All right. Well, we'll just do it the old-fashioned way. Let's view up here. We'll view them all at once. And we'll go down, and here's status. So you'll see invalidate cache is first, then user status, regular labs cache cleaner, add to menu, cache cleaner. I don't know why where add to menu shows up or not, but anyways, I'm going to drag this down to after add to menu. All right, now if I go to the back end of the site, oh, I should be able to just refresh this. Down in the bottom, invalidate cache is now in a more open place right there for me to click on. Now let's take a look at what's happening in the site before we invalidate the cache. So we'll go to the Joomla page here, to the front here, sorry, oops, all right. And I'm going to right click and view page source. And when we get there, we'll see here at the end of plugin system JCE CSS content.css, there is a question mark. Let me just blow this up for you too. There's a question mark, and then it says BD57 blah, 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 over and ends in a 0. That is the Bjorn says you can make a custom module to put it all in on login. And he's got a link there to his video, so to a page there. So yeah, you could make a position, make a custom module and move it. So there's an illustration, directions from Bjorn on how to do that. But see, at the end of the link here, we got BD57A42. This is, basically you wouldn't want to change the name of this file every time because it would be very hard to find it to work in it, and it would always be changing somewhere. And of course, something in your in your programming refers to content.css in this particular place, right? So what you want is what this question mark does is just add some text to the end. You can actually do that to a lot of things. Just pro tip, I don't have my graphics here. Watch this. If I go basic Joomla .com, and then go question mark, and then this is from Tim. If I publish this URL somewhere in my stats, in my traffic stats and analytics, I could look and see how many people visited that URL. It's a way of tracing who has where traffic is coming from. Something you might want to think. So if you're in a forum somewhere and you go to paste the link, maybe you might want to put something in there. Although you don't want to freak out people in the forum. But anyways, that basically makes it sort of like a different version of in the browser's eye, a different version of the page that you're viewing. So here, the version it sees it as a different file. We know it's a different version, but it sees it as a different file. So here it's BD57, so content. So the browser sees this and maybe is caching that. Now what happens is that if you change a file in, say, File Manager, and I changed it to some CSS, and I save and save it, I haven't gone through the whole process in Joomla of saving that again and getting a new media ending on it here. So that's why back here in this tool, we go and we click Invalidate Cache. And now watch what happens. We'll go up to view the source. Remember, okay, so this starts with BD and ends in a 0. When we refresh this, now it starts with 97 and ends in a 3. And your browser, Zulima, good to see you. And so your user's browsers or your client's browsers or your browser are going to say, whoa, wait a second. This is a different file. I'm going to load that because this other one that I have, that doesn't match. That's a different file. And so in that way, you are able to change this everywhere. Now, this is only occurring in 2 files here right now because this is not much happening. Plus, from last week's live stream, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's being removed from, like the CSS is not even being called because we're using re-replacer to take out calls to CSS files that aren't being loaded on the page. So you could see that template. Housekeeping thing as well. Remember last week I spent a long time trying to figure out the regex for doing that in a more simple way. That is, we figured that out, and Peter Van Westen gave me the regex. We figured it out, and since I asked him for it. And you can find that in the description of the video from last week's live stream. All right, so let's go to somewhere here, /login. And I'm going to log in as me on here. So big. All right, so now if I go down here and view my profile, woohoo, that's really big. Now I'm going to view page source. Notice here that now Community Profiler has done something slightly different here. All right. Notice here, because here the ending for what is that called? I want to learn the words here. Media version. All right. The ending for media version here is 97,493. Remember, now that stayed the same because we're changing different pages. But up here, they've got version E80/4F2609. Now, let's go back here and do a test and go invalidate cache. And let's go up to here. Now, this one's E80 and ends in 40. All right, so here's a case where if you change the Community Profiler template CSS, you would actually end up still needing to get your user to empty their cache because they're using their own version thing, but apparently not the one in Joomla because this number changed, but that number did not change. Now, a way around that, what I think would work is if you put your custom CSS, if when you customize this, instead of of course, instead of changing the template file there, put it in a custom CSS folder that does get updated. So for instance, let's see here. Let's go down here. And there's Community Profiler using that same one here. All right. Their Community Profiler is using that E8. Here is Community Profiler again as well. But look, here's Asteroid template, and it is using the Joomla Media one, the media version, OBO 0B0. So what I would say is this. If you change CSS in Community Profiler, and you want this invalidate cache to work, put the custom CSS for Community Profiler where you put the custom CSS for your overall template. You might need to use _important to force those changes depending on the order that things load. But then your user's browser is going to get those changes through something that does work when it gets invalidated. And you can probably set it up to do that. Yes. Yeah. So Community Profiler, we probably have to ask them, maybe contact them and see if there's a way that they can use that method instead of having their own. I'm guessing though that since they have a version equals thing here, and basically they're just using this question mark in the same method, they just have v equals. Probably when you save something in Community Builder, they already have a new thing that is there that gets changed over. So I would guess if you're working right inside of Community Builder, inside an extension, and they're using these versions and you save them, they'll assign a new letter. It's when you change something manually in the script, like in the file manager area of your hosting, CSS or JavaScript, that you can that you need to manually dump these numbers and get something new. All right, so the other thing, the other issue is images, and that is so. For instance, check out. We look at this image here. What's this image called? We'll inspect it. This is okay. Reviewing the code in the back here. Background image. It's just, you can just see above the head here. It's WEBP. All right, let's just check this out here. Let's go F3 WEBP for web page, and let's go one more down. All right, so here we have the URL of that image. All right. Notice that there's nothing at the end that shows a version like we've been looking at. And so I have asked, is there a way to turn that on for images inside of Joomla? Because it would be great. It would be great if we could get something like question mark and then some kind of version. And that might be something for me to mention to Ruud from Online Community Hub, because this is actually this conversion to this is OCH responsive images, and it's converting images to WebP. So, but even here's Community Profiler, plugin templates, default images, avatar, no photo, and under a .png, there's still no version at the end. So it would be probably really handy to have this for images as well. Although it depends, because you wouldn't want, I guess maybe you wouldn't want to change every image on every page every time you saved the CSS file or saved an extension somewhere. And because on a large site, it would defeat caching. He also said something very interesting. He said not to use CDNs. Let me just show you. And this is just because I asked him, did you make this new? He said yes, and I said. Anyways, I asked, will this prevent having to? Well, you have to flush CDNs in order for this to work. Anyways, he said something very interesting. He said, don't use CDNs. They don't work anymore since Meltdown and Spectre vulnerabilities. Browsers do not share caches. In plain English, two sites pointing at the same CDN will not actually share the same file. So host all your assets in your own server, even fonts. So that was something that, that's new for me. And so I'm going to tuck that away and try to let my mind meditate and mulch on that. Mulch? No. What is it? Marinate. Because that's new information for me. So about him saying CDNs don't work. Yeah. Okay, so that's Invalidatecache, and it's a handy tool. It will cut way down on getting your clients to refresh to empty the cache of their browser. If you're working on a site and you get finished making some CSS changes or some JavaScript changes, if you're able to do that, I don't touch JavaScript. And at the end, when it's all ready, just click on Invalidate Cache, and that will force new numbers, a new code, new media version to be assigned at the end of those files. If you're making those changes in an extension that, like we saw Community Builder, that does not have that is not using the Joomla media version but is making its own, you still want to open that and save it. And we could do it. Actually, we could do a. Can I do a test of that without showing people's profiles? I'll see. We'll try that right now. Next, we'll do. Anyways, I would open the browser. I would open the extension, save it, and then see if it makes a new version of those things. Images, if you've changed an image, if you have had a client that says, I don't like this image, or here's a new logo, and you put that on there and they say, hey, I still see the same logo, because there's no versions, you probably still have to get them to empty their cache. But this will cut down on quite a few of the problems with CSS files being cached when you're working on things. All right. Okay, let's play around with Community Builder, and we'll just see if that is the solution for that. Maybe some of you are already going to leave at this point, in which case I do thank you for watching, and I do hope that you would support the channel by subscribing and ringing the bell to get a notification of when new things are happening here. All right, so I'm going to, first of all, let's go Control-0 and put this back to a normal size. I'm just going to take this tab over to the other screen here and go to Community Builder and Control Panel. I just want to make sure that no username gets put on here. Right, User Management. I think if I stay out of User Management, that should be fine. It looks like I'll be fine. All right, so let's do this. Here we are. What I did was I went to Community Builder, Edit Configuration. So we're on Configuration. And then we've got this page here, which has, does this have Community Builder at the, is this the source that has Community Builder in it? Yes. All right. So let's close these tabs here. Let's close this. So let's see, I get an answer. Oh, look at this. Okay, so I asked about images. It is doable, but there are at least two things someone should consider. Performance impact over invalidating assets leads to greater bandwidth usage on the server and also wasting space on users' hard drive. Kind of important for low-end mobiles. Okay. Great. All right, yeah, so maybe you don't want to invalidate images like that because, yeah, you don't, like I said before, you don't want to just keep loading over and over and over again things that haven't changed. All right, so here we go. We've got, here's Community Profiler, Bootstrap.css version E80. Oh, we can make this bigger. E80 ends in 40. Okay, let's go back here. Now let's save the configuration. And let's refresh. No, it didn't change that. Now, that's okay. It's a Bootstrap, font awesome. The template. So you're not going to change their font awesome or their Bootstrap. Now, what about Qtip? And that's a jQuery thing. So you probably wouldn't be in there changing. I don't know. Let's just change some CSS here. Let's view the source code for CyberSalt, my username here. And you'll see that right here, I'm going to have to turn my camera off here. Down here, we'll see that, let's go here. Let's see, where is that color being handled? That's heading 3 class for CB page header title. The template file, notice there when I mouse over that, it brings up a long list. I can't make it bigger, but it shows that the file is E800 and it's line 1700 in that. If I were to, all right, so where would I change that though? Yeah, this is the question. Yeah. All right, where do I change that CSS in Community Builder? I don't know. What I'm looking for is a way to change Community Builder so that I can generate a new cache thing there. So let's see. Here, that's Community Builder Tools. Load sample, load canvas layout, synchronize users. Check the synchron. Nope. It's not there. Field management. Tab management. Maybe configuration. Let's just see here. Registration, user profile. All right, so maybe no. No. Okay, so yes, and Bjorn's saying there, use your custom.css file and the template most likely gets loaded last. And that's what I said before. If you customize CSS in here, just put it in the, just put it in there. I just was wondering if there's a place here where I could actually go and save something here, and that would change the version of the file there. So, all right. Cool. All right. So Control-0. Put that back to normal size. Here comes the goof. Oh, there he is. Yeah, no, Bjorn, you're right. You don't change the CSS in the component, but I thought there might be something in the component where you can go and customize colors, for instance, and that would change the template. So for instance, like an asteroid, go into the template and you open up the custom CSS, you put it in there, and then that everything gets regenerated. So I thought there might be something for picking colors in Community Builder where you would set that and then it would then regenerate that. Chuck's got a link here from Joomopolis. That could be it. He could be the hero. Let's check it out. We've always supported CSS overrides in the form of that override, but you always had to manually create a file, upload it, maintain it. It's a bit of chore. That has been improved with the same usage as language override, allowing you to supply your custom CSS directly in the plugin edit of any CB template. Great. Simply edit your CB template within CB plugin management, and under the overrides tab, supply your custom CSS. Aha. All right. Thanks, Chuck. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. All right. So simply edit your CB template, CB plugin management, and under overrides. All right. So plugin management. Here we go. And we're going to look for overrides. Do I have that one installed? I have to read this again. All right, let's just get rid of this. Let's get rid of that tab. All right, so within CB plugin management and under the overrides tab, is there a tab I'm missing up here? CB plugin management, overrides. Let's see here. No. Okay, let's do my reading really careful here. Overrides tab. F3 OVER. No, over's not on there. No, this is not the free version of Community Builder. This is the paid version. I have the paid version because I have a couple sites that I need it, and I also have the subscription add-on for Community Builder. It's sort of my go-to thing for user management. I use it on so many sites. It's worth it. Now, it was pricey to renew. It's like, I think the developer membership is like 400 American, 400 US a year. But I've got some it's really needed on some of my bigger clients are using it. So for me, it's very affordable. I wonder if that's a plugin I need to install. Let's check that out. Install from directory. No, install from the web. For some updates that I can install here. Let's view. These are things that I can update. Let's go home. I'm looking for overrides. Let's see. Need to be editing your CB template with CB plugin management. This should just be the default template plugin. Being able to find, unable to find CSS overrides per the instructions. Okay, so we just got to find that tab. Mary says it's part of CB Core. It is in the plugin template. So as plugins default, then override. All right, so it's the template. Right, this is community plugin management. Open that in a new tab. Mary, do I plugins default and override tab? So it is in plugins default then override tab. I might be missing how I'm finding this here. Okay. Community builder. Oh, default. There it says default right there. Blah, blah. Thank you. This second from the top. Learn to read with Tim. Okay, default. And then the override tab. Okay, so we should be able to put some, customize some CSS. All right, we just want, okay. Now, even if I save this and go down to page source, all right, E80 ends in a 40, refresh. Okay, that did not change it. All right. Parameters to overrides. All right, so let's just change some CSS on there. Let's change, all right, so I have CyberSalt. I already have that highlighted, right? So we'll select that. I hit plus up here. And that fills with this, or just above my picture here. And we're going to change, so heading 3.mo, blah, 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 blah. We're going to change this to color equals, color. And we'll see the change to color right there. So let's do my favorite, orange. All right. Go copy. Paste that in there. Okay. Now, this says successfully save the plugin default, but I did not clean the cache. So let's just try something here. We'll go to view page source and we'll refresh. Okay. Oh, we actually ended up with a new override CSS file that was added. Oh, and look, it's got an NE88, which is different than the E800. Yeah, Chuck says number 2 in the list. Mary beat you, Chuck. So interesting. Okay, so in this case with Community Profiler, you do get a different version. Now, let's go back here and let's just let's save this again. And let's refresh. So we got 9E8. Oh, and it changed to E32. All right, so with Community Builder, you could change CSS in the custom thing there, and you will not have you don't need to invalidate the cache in people's browsers because they would just see the change. So the takeaway from this is know your components as well, the extensions that you have on your site, because as long as they're doing different versions, then you can do that. Or as Bjorn reminded me, pointed out, you can always just put this in the custom CSS for your Joomla template, and as long as it is getting assigned a media version in the URL, then that will work. Now, I mentioned about using exclamation marks. Sometimes the changes you make in CSS still get overwritten by something further down in a style sheet that's loaded later. And that's why you want to use this. And you see warnings about it, like about the use of it. There's always alert that you've used it because it's powerful. Exclamation mark, IMPOR, important. And what that does is that even if something were to be loaded in the page later on, that was loaded in the page later on, that changed this particular class to a different color, by putting exclamation mark important, you're saying, no, this has to be orange. I want this orange. Just ignore everywhere else. So Yeah, and Bjorn makes the points there. Overrides always load fast too. Yeah, so if you make an override and put things right in it, yes. For me right now, it's simpler to just to do the custom CSS stuff. But yeah. Now the other thing too is you could always take the CSS and load it in the head only when community profiler is being displayed, and it cuts down on this one course, this one load here, right? That would be cool too, and I think we'll take a look at that another time, another day, on how to do that. So we do have an extra call here, but right now, the topic today is just to make it so that your users don't have to empty their browser cache. And so just traveling back on this, let's just, do I want to leave that orange? Do I want to leave that orange? I'll go with the blue. So, all right, so we'll take this out, save and close. So basically this button that we now have down at the bottom right hand side, invalidate cache, or wherever you put it on the back end, then you can, oh, you were talking about CSS overrides, Bjorn, always load last, okay. With the invalidate cache button, even if your extension is not impacted by that, look into it and maybe you don't have an issue. And of course, once you get the site looking the way that you want it to and you don't have to do a lot of stuff, then this does not become an issue. Okay, so yeah. We know we're getting to know the back end, or I'm getting to know the back end of Joomla a lot better, on and on and on, as I look into these things. So that is good as well. Okie dokie. Let me open up an email and we'll just take a look at that issue about 3.9.25 so I can find it in the template here. It's email. Where's Phil when he emailed me? Oh, here we go. Okay, so here, let's take a look at this discussion that's taking place in the Joomla forum. I'll give you the URL of it right here so you can read along as well. Up to the top, it says here you can discuss the release of Joomla 3.9.25 from Peter Martin. Local test sites and remote sites update smoothly as usual. This person says kudos to the team. So Phil Taylor, for balanced readers should also read Akiba Static Content 5, which provides insight on 2 of the reported quote-unquote vulnerabilities fixed in this release. All right, I'm going to open this in a new tab. Ivor, you had the error in one upgraded site fixed by installing the latest Akiba. Okay. So here, look at this. So here from Akiba, I'll give you this URL here if you want to read it. It's long. I'm not going to read it for you. Anyways, it's our PRNG is not vulnerable, but we're replacing anyways. And as you can see, so here's the explanation of what was going on if you're interested in knowing what the issues are. Look, it is quite long, as you can see. And they have a lot of releases coming this week. All right, so... also, it's interesting, you can read here that they do not support, they are no longer supporting older than version 3.9 in Akiba. Anyways, some interesting reading there. Here, so there's that point there about Akiba. And then also, Phil mentions this here. 3.9.25 breaks folder name validation because it assumes all folders must start with A to Z AZ. Now this A to Z AZ in that format is has to do with I think regex or something. So it's if you're in regex, say hey, if there's a letter whether it's lowercase or uppercase. That's the coding for it. That's just what twigs in my mind. Don't cheat off of me on the test. Look to the smart kid on the other side of you. So we can open that up and look. So he says here, this is Phil's, we're in GitHub here. 3.9.25 security fixes break folder name validation because assumes all folders must start with A to Z, lowercase a to Z, uppercase A to Z. Equally, you can no longer use a folder that starts with a period dot private my private images. Equally, you can no longer use a folder that starts with a non-Latin based character that is not lowercase or uppercase A to Z. For example, B, the B there is actually Greek beta images. This is regression. The code that's at fault, he gives the code. Brian Tiemann says this has directly impacted at least one of my sites. Then Phil's talking, so, I should give you this link here as well. So I would guess, Ivor, that Norwegian characters, and by the way, Ivor, you're a Norwegian character, and so is Bjorn. You're both different characters. I would think that Norwegian characters would be affected because they're not A to Z, lowercase or uppercase. So you can read that there. And of course, we're on the Watch and Work live stream and hanging out together. So so here's just sort of a look at what's going in. And actually, when I scan these things too, they help sort of, I just kind of twig on keywords and key ideas along the way, and they're sort of like puzzles jumbling around in my head. Sometimes they collide and start to form a picture of things I didn't see before. This person says, in his honest opinion, it's okay to not allow UTF characters in folders, files, names, but he agrees that digits should be allowed. Phil says, I don't like UTF-H characters in folder names, but they are perfectly acceptable and valid characters for file systems to use. People in the real world do use them. And then Nick has something in here. He's going to talk about not using UTF characters because now Nick is Greek. He says those of us who use languages do not use Latin 1. Those of us whose language does not use Latin 1 characters beg to differ. In Greek, it's echonis. So I took Greek when I was in Bible college, coined Greek, Koine. It's the dead version of Greek, but iconis. I think that's iconis. Anyways, his point is that the Greek letters there, and that's how they did things in the 90s when BBS software didn't support. It's not images either. Okay, so so he says, I know of at least one company which uses a folder called One Option, one with the beginning of it. Yes, Ivor, Swedish and German and Chinese. Yeah, anything that's not Latin A to Z. So One Option, perfect valid name, not for Joomla. And then they have some discussion there. So, and then Phil's point here was that Harold, who's the release leader, will write an FAQ later today and propose a PR fix. So, does it fail? Right. So here's a question I asked Phil last night. I emailed him before I went to bed. Will a new Joomla release be made, and or is this going to be carried over? And that's the most asked question elsewhere and to me. So I asked Phil, hey, is there a new release coming out? And Harold says, at this time, I don't see urgent release for reasons for new release. The filter was introduced in 3.9.21. I wouldn't expect a high adoption by third-party extensions yet. It only affects changing. now he says the workaround is really simple. In Joomla CMS library source form rule file path rule.php, remove these 4 lines. All right, so so this yeah, so I don't know how much time you spend reading stuff on GitHub. I don't read too much because it's mostly programmer stuff in there, and I'm a lover, not a fighter. So and especially, I mean, if I get into a code discussion, that's like bringing a little toy GI Joe knife to a bazooka fight. This sort of give you an idea of what's going on in the programming community part of Joomla. So Phil asks here, those who need to plan, are you ruling out a 3.9.26 release? By the way, I asked a couple of months ago, I said, hey, Joomla, I wonder if we're going to make it up to Joomla 3.9.28, because remember, Joomla 2.5.28 was the highest that we got in Joomla 2.5.28. And they said, no, the last one is going to be 0.25. Didn't see something beyond 0.24, I think. Anyways, now we're talking about 0.26. I'm all cheery about this, by the way. I don't want to get. I'm not getting into the. Whether it's 0.28, 0.29, I don't know. I mean, hopefully, Joomla 4's got to be close. It's got to be close. Anyways, so Phil points out on here, says bugs being introduced in 3.925, and the release team is working on a fix. We're sorry for inconvenience. So this is published on the 3rd at 3:28 p.m. That's like 3 hours ago. So the workaround lines are officially prone to the issue now is to remove what was introduced as security fix. That's a workaround on fix. As already said, we will create a pull request. Okay, so basically, this is a good research for me because if you're having problems, it's remove these four lines from this file. All right, so I'm going to keep that open. I guess I will do a. I guess I'll do a little video there later on updating this myself. So I will not be bulk updating my Joomla sites this time because I don't want to have to fix them all at once if there's a bunch that are a problem. In fact, I should. John says he bets that Joomla J4 will not be released in 2021. Oh my goodness. I don't think we're home on the range. There's the home on the range where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. John, I'd be surprised, but I don't. I think I would be more surprised if it doesn't come out in 2021 than if it does. But John, you might have been following this more closely. I don't know. I'm just going to stay happy, though. Joomla 3.9 is still great. I would love for 4 to be out. Yeah, I would definitely love for 4 to be out. But there you go. I don't know. I want to be a positive influence. I think maybe some of you, Cybersalt, which is my company's name, in the Bible, Jesus told his followers to be the salt of the earth. Salt as a flavor and salt also as a preservative. And so I named my business Cybersalt many years ago because I wanted to be I wanted to add positive flavor and I wanted to add preservative to, I just, what I did on the internet, I want it to be positive and have a good effect. And so, that's what I'm striving for. So I'm just gonna stay positive. Mary says you'd love for it to be out if upgrading is not a huge problem. I also think that upgrading is not going to be a problem because they've got the Joomla 3.10. If it works in 3.10, it will work in Joomla 4. That is the goal. We will see. And of course, once it comes out, I'm going to be doing some videos and some testing, as I'm sure a lot of people will, just on, first of all, a plain Joomla site, going from 3.10 to Joomla 4. And then I will start to move over more of my own sites. And of course, some complex sites. I've got some big, a couple of client sites that are really big. I'm going to really have to watch. But Joomla 3.9 is going to be around for a couple of years. Joomla 3.10 will be around for a couple of years. So, all right. So there's this. Yeah. All right. So that's the discussion there. Okay. All right. Well, so RSForm broke on your test site with Joomla 4, so they might not be ready yet. Yep. Totally. All right. Well, Brian just did a 3.9.25 to 310 and again to 4. And how did that work, Brian? Oh, in your Joomla user group. Cool. I've thought about doing some of those, playing around like that in some videos, but I really am just going to wait until Joomla 4 is released in a stable version, because I think that's where a lot of people and it worked with a simple site. Great. Yeah, I think it's, so I think updating's going to be good. There's always going to be wildcards, especially if there's things that, I guess what's going to happen is that you'll have so when Joomla 3.10 comes out, I think probably what will be wisest, and I'll have to see when I know more there. But it's probably duplicate your site, bump it up to 3.10, give it a try and see if it works. And if it works, then do that on your live site. And now you're in 3.10, and now you're on 3.10, and then you can then make a copy of that site as well. Or I guess you could, if the copy your original copy works, then go to Joomla 4. That probably makes sense. But if you want to get from 3.9 whatever to 3.10, then that would work well. If you're 3.9 to 3.10 and just get your site established in then, that's good. But again, if 3.10 is supposed to, anything that works in 3.10 works in Joomla 4, then if you make a copy of your site and go from 3.9 to 10 and everything works, you can take that copy then and then bump it to 4 and make sure that everything works. It's going to take a lot of testing though. Regular Lab, Bjorn says Regular Labs J4 is not J4 ready yet. That you know that. Yeah, there's so. Brian says it was. So Bjorn asked if it was going to be on YouTube, and Brian says no, it was not a great view. The speaker locked himself out, so it was very confusing. Sounds like one of my live streams. You'll do it again another time. Yeah. No, it was not a great view. It was very confusing. I think I should. I should probably put that on my channel. Quote it. It's not a great view. It was very confusing. All right, everybody. Well, I think that's been really productive. I've enjoyed that, and thanks to I'm gonna say it's Dimitri. I am pretty sure. I've seen him having discussions places. Let me just clear that up right now. Let's go here. I'm going to look up some of his tweets in the back here. What did he say? I can find out his name here. Here we go. Grammatical. Here is his home site. Trying to find his name. Let's go back here. Alexander, welcome. Yes, Alexander, you're not too late because it's going to be recorded. But yes, the stream is just about to end. Ivor's just shared a link with something. Anyway, so this link here. So let's change to. Right screen computer capture. All right. I'm just looking for his name. Let's see. Here's his Facebook page. Dimitri. That's right. I was right. All right. Dimitri.Grammaticogiannis. Dimitri Grammaticogiannis. Dimitri, thank you very much for making this cool little the invalidate cache button. That is super great. And appreciate the time that he took to interact with me on that, and he does a lot of coding stuff in Joomla. So, all right, Ivor, I'm going to click on this link to see what opens up. Oh, it's going to open up in this wrong thing here. Copy. Just a second. Go back. I have to change the URL here. Control V. Let's take out Studio. What is it here? Oh, okay. So this is how you can simplify your CSS with :is and then brackets. All right, I'm gonna check that out. We'll take a look at that and see that. Thanks for that, Ivor. All right, everyone. Well, I think it's time for me to grab some breakfast. So thanks for tuning in today. Hanging out. And yeah, so we will. Oh, hey, so next week, Mary suggested that for Watch Me Work live stream, if we looked at latest news enhanced module by Olivier, I think his name is Boussiard. I might be slaughtering that. Anyways, Mary, I contacted him. He's super excited to do it. I'm going to try to get him on next Wednesday. He couldn't do it today, but next Wednesday. So we'll probably have a guest, and he's going to show that, and that will be good. So I already have a plan for next week. Woohoo! Hopefully, if I get it all lined up, I get things set up, and then I'll be on time. Anyways, everybody, thanks for your. Thanks for joining in today. I hope everything is good where you are, be it morning, afternoon, evening, or tomorrow. And until the next time, enjoy your Joomla sites, and God bless.